All right.
Roger here, anybody?
Nope, Roger is gonna be absent. He's attending a funeral. All right, so call this meeting to order. Parsonsfield Planning Board Workshop Meeting, Wednesday, April 1st. Happy April Fools, everybody. Call this meeting to order at 6:01. Dan, John, Harvey, and myself are present. Roger, Paul, and Jim are absent. Before we jump into some stuff, guys, the Shopper's Guide did not publish my ad for public hearings. Spent the morning putting that fire out. I talked to the applicants, they were okay with us postponing to the 22nd, provided that the ad gets the Shopper's Guide and it gets published. We have not sent abutters notices yet, so we get to put the new date in the abutters notices and send those out. So my question to you guys, if you guys are here, do you want to have a meeting on the 15th to go over any other business? You won't be here. Or do we want to push everything to the 22nd? Well, you're no help.
I'm leaving the 15th and I'm not coming back until the 26th.
All right.
Anybody?
Carolinas.
Oh, we can phone you, don't we?
Phone a friend.
Of April,
April.
yeah, I'm okay with this.
Okay. However, you want to push everything to the 22nd?
That's birthday. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So I will get in touch with everybody else that's on the agenda and make sure that they know we're canceling the 15th and we're moving everything to the 22nd.
So that will be strictly on campus.
So that'll be the public hearing for 04047, the public hearing for Maple Crest Estates, and then, hold on, the Spencer application, possible Shea Brothers, if they get it, and, well, they haven't got an application into me, so we would have needed to receive that by tonight, so they won't be on the agenda. So yeah, that should be it. Perfect. All right, what do you want to jump into?
I have one question. Are we considered, since I saw that in the paper, the town having a staff meeting,
Yes,
are we considered paid employees of the town?
we are technically elected officials. We are paid, but we are elected.
Well, I'm gonna be there anyway.
I sent out the invite to everybody this morning. Yeah,
I can get mine.
you didn't get it?
I didn't get one either.
Okay, let's see.
I just got the two. No invites.
I haven't looked at it.
I don't think I did either. I got those two, the letters.
Maybe I know I.
just got them right now. Okay, let me resend it.
So we're not meeting on the 15th?
We are not meeting on the 15th. But yes, everybody is welcome to attend the staff meeting. If you don't get it, let me know and I'll send it individually.
Got it.
Perfect.
Yeah, just came in, my phone just beeped.
Perfect. Yeah, as far as I know right now, I can make it. But yeah, you guys are all welcome. Then, that takes care of that. Yeah. Anything else? What do we want to talk about?
Well, like I mentioned, before about having Camille Torres from SMPDC
Right.
to come here at 6 PM and talk to us about ordinances here that are gonna tax this town, I should say, to its limits. And I, you know, if we can go through these, we should all have this information and come with any questions that you might have. My question is, how could we support ordinances that we don't have the infrastructure? But then again, nowadays you can build anywhere, anytime, for any reason. Anything can happen, I guess.
Seems like it was my understanding that, while municipalities can't restrict residential housing by zone, we can still do so by circumstantial property to property. You can say that the property is not fit for a residence. So it still puts the hand on the planning board and select board to be able to make those decisions, but we just can't, like, if we zone something commercial, we can't say that residences can't go in there. We have to be able to allow that kind of
So
structure.
that's one.
As long as the place, as long as the property itself allows for it. So it could be, it seemed like to me, and there was, the question that I had about it was that it's there's a mandatory, I don't know how to say it, class or something that we have to take to be able to teach us about the new ordinance or something. And I haven't figured out how to set that up. I was looking at the state website, couldn't find any info yet. But yeah, it seems like we could zone, so for an example, if there was a property that worked really well for a commercial, but not a residential, we could zone it a commercial, and then if somebody wanted to put a residential, we could say, no, this property is not adequate for said thing, not because it's a commercial property, but because the site specifics.
So they're saying zoning each specific lot instead of having a zoning like a overlay.
Yeah, or just that whatever zone we have cannot restrict residential housing.
The other question that I would have for him is, what would happen with something like Robinson Mill? It doesn't have a lot of land access, but it does have a high rise on it. And what effect it would have on it. I'm hoping this guy knows something about it.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what you guys say too. In my initial thought, that would fall into the circumstances of it, so if we determine that the impact of the residents on the property or structures would be damaging or just not suitable, then we could still say disapprove of a housing site of the apartment complex. Then there was something in there about any commercial buildings, residences as well, so like the mill building, for example, would have, if it was commercial down below, it would have to allow for residential.
Apartments above.
Yeah, like a Stanley building.
And that, there's no town sewer over there, no,
No, it's its own, yeah.
they get a size septic system towards within that building, and they don't have the property, they can't put septic.
I do remember that little tip about that back in the day, and I guess it wasn't that long. It seemed that the state had said that septic could get working again. It could get approval from the state for the use of that septic, but it would need to get maintenance and fixed, because there's something with one of the sand pits that's not good, or something. It's a gravel sediment sewer, or sediment leach field.
Sand. Back in before it was turned back out to the also by seeing the fill of stuff. But, yeah, it can be.
When is he coming?
That would be on,
The May workshop, the 6th. So yeah, so I have a list of, we need cap growth, solar, and the shoreline zone separated, and then all of this stuff as well. So we'll have a bunch of stuff we can ask him if it's an undertaking they can take on, or if it's something that we need to, I'm hoping we can take it on, because it'll be a lot easier for them than us.
And also, there's been some talk about, water systems and fire relief systems. And I think they're coming up with other ways that can be done. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. They have these, I just saw it the other day. There's some sort of electronic device that spits out something that puts out fires. I'm not sure if all that thing.
Like those dust, like a dust
Dusting
thing.
mantle system.
Yeah. Which one would say if you're gonna put some fire, put out a full blown fire. Certainly could work around that ordinance with that, something like, maintenance problem, so I don't know what you would do.
Yeah, all sprinkler systems have a maintenance thing, they gotta be inspected once a year.
That's. Can't get the guy to come out and clean my heat pump. But there's a lot of questions that should be answered. I mean, guidelines. Fire's not lit. In a building like, I think we have a ladder truck in Highland, where it's a 3-town system. Would that be good enough, fifteen or something? School systems, always problematic.
Well, usually commercial buildings have to be sprinkled. anyways.
Yeah.
A lot of multiple use residential.
Anything over 3 units has to be sprinkled.
There's all kinds of-
And if the local fire department finds that the property is accessible, then even a single family home could be required.
Yeah, some develop, I can say it about any new development that's have a sprinkler system.
Well, I don't vision the whole aspect, the whole mill is going to do anything. It's going to have to remove some buildings from it. I mean, acknowledge it, create a land within you. There's only one access and entrance to it. And it's off of 25. Plus, then you have, traffic problems, all kinds of things. And go on with that unless it goes properly. So in order to do that, there's one road down there for no road, and it's right next to the building. You can't do anything about it, moving, how do you go one way or the other? So, I see that whole complex as something different. I'm not sure how they would look at it. But we haven't done anything yet, so.
That's a good point. There's not great access to the middle building. That would give on a traffic that they would be bringing in, potentially.
We can't come up with a bridge. That would be totally complicated. One public access. Plus that's the way. Clear child.
I wonder if they would secure an easement to the old Chalmers building, Sugar and Spice Store. Because that driveway is all the way back, but it's owned by Robin Karen.
Yeah, you'd have to buy the gray one, the small one, before you do electronics. And the other one's still. One guy and that one's still in
Is it the gray one that's going to be the optometrist?
there. No, that's.
Supposedly for them.
Yeah.
I thought it was the,
Well, I thought it was the change of shore.
So that's way down the road.
Yeah,
I can see,
yeah.
but it's something that, you know, this year might have an effect on.
Should we or can we talk about the email?
I don't know if we can be specific, but
Yeah, we can't discuss applications. We can just discuss general issues. We can't get nitty gritty. Yeah, CEO has been made aware of two things. Not 100% happy with the answer I got, but we'll, see what comes.
Yeah, the email about the site plan review, that seemed to be more procedural criticism than specific about it. I appreciated the, you know, the concern about precedent in that, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe wonder if we, as a board, ought to just not waive the site plan review in any case that somebody, some group of us is able to, or at least discuss sites, because we know certain sites and certain sites that are up, we know those sites pretty well. Everybody drives by them every day, but so would discussing the site without being on site be considered a site plan review?
Site plan review,
it's basically,
in my opinion, the site plan review is when we get the application. We're actually reviewing the whole plan. A site walk is when we visit the site. Site walks are a may, not a shall. So it's usually by the vote of the board of, you know, have we been to the site? Can we see the site without, you know, all going there at the same time and get a good idea of what's gonna happen? You know, in some cases, we don't have a site walk, but, you know, as we were kind of explaining, you know, one of us might happen to go and review the site because we've never been there. Again, that comes down to a may, not a shall. What's the purview? Site plan review is triggered when we get the application.
Right, and it's in that we're reviewing the site plan,
Right.
and so the site walk may not be as required,
Right.
but we do and always shall review the site plan for any proposal.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then depending on what the contents of the site plan are, the board can review and say that doesn't, you know, that doesn't fall under our purview, that needs to go to XYZ. You know, and depending on, again, what the ordinance says, the board can say, this isn't our problem, for lack of a better word, and say we don't need to deal with this and vote that way. We can also vote to say that, you know, we need to review this part of it, because that falls under us, and this needs to go to CEO. The hard part for me is the site plan versus conditional use. Conditional use doesn't ask for as much as the site plan review does. I prefer site plan review application because we get a lot more information upfront from the applicants. And as Jeff was stating, conditional use runs with the land, where a site plan is set amount of time. If it's not started within, I'm pretty sure it's a site plan, if it's not started within 18 months, they have to come back before the board.
Same thing with a building permit for 18 months to
Correct.
complete or possible extension.
Yeah, I think it's
Stop.
it's a percentage.
Started,
Maybe
yeah.
18 months.
Yeah, it's a percentage. It's in the ordinance, but there's a certain percentage that needs to be started before the 18 months are up. And that's supposed to be reviewed by the CEO, and then they would come to us and be like, hey, they haven't reached a certain percentage, they need to come back before you.
the site plan is getting an overall view, because what they show you on the diagram doesn't seem show you what's around it, where the parking is, how close it is to all the buildings, all these things that are somewhat vague on a plan. When you see them, they don't tell you there's wetlands there, and you find out there's a pond. You know, all these things come into play with that.
And a conditional use, you don't have to, they don't require that. If someone came for a conditional use permit, they can just, you don't have that nitty gritty stuff that you have to look at, you can just,
There's definitely not as much required on a conditional use
Hmm.
application. Um, Again, something to look into. Um, Yeah, but the site plan review, there's A to Y, I think, requirements that need to be submitted with the application or explain why they don't need to submit where the conditional use, I think there's less than 15.
there's a lot of conditional uses that can really disturb the town in different ways. Interesting.
Yeah, if you want to turn Athens into a pig farm, it'd be bad.
There's also,
Yeah, the conditional use permit runs forever, they never expire. Every permit should expire.
Is that a town specific?
That's pretty much every town, conditional use permits from the land. That came from the state originally.
Hmm.
Could be a good idea to look at, only because we live in a place where the land changes more frequently than other land. I know my wetlands is some parts becoming drier and some parts becoming wetter, so the site plan review that was done in 2005 and showed a particular building zone that could have expanded while the building zone over there could have shrunk, you know, in the same.
so one other thing that we should be thinking about, planning board review thresholds. The members of the planning board and zoning board of appeals must attend training within 100 meeting days, either September 24th, 25. Current members or their appointments, new members. Now, I've never had any specific training in the planning board situations, but from now on in, somebody can come back to us. Say, well, we don't have training.
Is this training specific to the LD?
I would guess this probably much pertains to everything. Gentleman was from 6.
Yeah,
Cinco de Mayo Day, that's why.
Yeah.
And
So we're meeting on Revenge of the Sixth.
he's the one that puts together the particular program that will give us that. And I'm wondering if he'll come here, but I think what they'll do is they'll require you to go somewhere, get some PDC or some places.
Well, do you think that's different than MMA training?
I don't know. That's a good question. Why would SMPDC be doing authorized by it?
Right. Or what is the difference between the MMA and what SOPDC is proposing?
I would guess that SMPDC has a better feeling for overall outlay of York County.
True.
And what's within it, and this particular fellow said he's familiar with Ponson. So I would say, well, that's interesting and not true.
Yeah, because the next MMA training is actually the same night as the staff meeting.
Hmm.
So,
That's,
there used to be a way to take the MMA training online without actually having to sit through the meeting, but I don't know if that's still available.
that's Zoom.
Right.
Don't we have something like that coming up? Really, Roger was talking about that, but we're gonna put it by and by.
That's the meeting of the staff,
Yeah.
the same night as the staff meeting's on the 16th from 4 to 7 or 4 to 8, something like that. Because I was thinking the same thing, get a bunch of people together and do it, but staff meeting's a little bit more important right now. So yeah, So yeah, that's definitely a good question to ask him. Excuse me.
I have a question about, for us to consider, I just don't know the answer, so there can be a clear answer. For a subdivision, that retains the road in their own ownership.
Mhm.
They can do like an HOA.
Yep.
Or just a road agreement.
Correct.
Exactly. That document that's signed from them, is that, I assume it would be, but is that held by the town and the CEO officer, and is he the person, or he or she the person responsible for enforcing that road agreement or HOA?
And the road commission probably would handle it.
Okay.
I'm with the HOA with a road,
Yeah.
we have a 5-member board that maintain, we pay to do it every year. Okay.
So you guys are the ones enforcing
The road,
the road?
yeah. And then we had to create a corporation registered with the state for that.
Mhm, mhm. That's, yeah, I thought that would be the case with HOA. What about road, just road agreement? It's not an HOA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I did ask Norton, he seemed to think that he's the one that holds the document and then enforces it, but I wasn't sure if that's the case. He seemed confident, but I wasn't sure.
so it's a great question. I don't have the perfect answer. If it's not a town road, if it's a private road, we have nothing to do with it. They would take care of everything. When it becomes a town road and is maintained by the town, then there's, they have to keep it up to town specs. What we had in Sebago is we had public easement roads, where the residents were responsible for the road, and if they didn't maintain the road, then we didn't plow the road, the town didn't plow the road. And it worked similar to the HOA. There was a group of people that would go around knocking on doors saying, hey, we gotta fix the road, so they'll plow it, gotta fix the road so that, they can grade it in spring. We need X amount of dollars from you to make sure that everybody's paying the same amount to get the road done. And then they would work with the public works director to get the gravel or whatever delivered so that he could grade it. So it wasn't sitting there or whatever, and he wasn't gonna get to it for multiple weeks. So I would say that if it's town road, we definitely deal with it. If it's a private road, I would say we would kind of be hands off.
Yeah, and I thought about that, is it, in the case where there's a larger subdivision that has a lot of units, it's a major subdivision, let's say, and the road is held privately, and the people don't maintain it, then it puts the residents at risk, fire at risk,
That's
rescue.
18 months in my section.
So,
Something,
So what it is, every July, I think we have a meeting. We pay our dues, and people who don't pay, we can put a lien on the property so that they can't sell it until the lien's paid off.
then who would enforce that if there's just a road agreement amongst the owners and not a
That one's tough.
It's
Yeah.
it's a civil,
a civil suit?
civil.
Does the town have any say as to far as how they maintain the road?
They're supposed to build the road to a spec.
Respect, but then after that, they can just let it go to nothing. Really?
I mean, I think the road commissioner would step in about culverts and driveways, but the actual road itself, I don't really think there's any guidance on that.
The plow contractor plow it and sand it, and spring we'll have somebody come grade it and all sand it and go around.
And that falls under a purview of the road commissioner. So aside from plowing and maintaining our town roads, what else? So he has a jurisdiction to say this private road is not accessible and needs to be maintained better, or demand that they need something?
Can,
Again,
you probably can do where the road touches public, you
Right.
probably, while you're there, but
yeah, anything in the town right of way. If it's within the town right of way, the road commissioner can do, he has the control of that.
most of your insurance companies are passable.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what you're gonna do with rubbish pickup, yeah?
And that's true, the rubbish will go down, we have, they come to us down the road. We had maintained that they would come down the road.
Right. They
Yeah,
have to
they-
have something at the head of the road, you know.
Especially with
Yeah,
the
the
dark
dark
stuff.
stuff wouldn't want 18, trash cans piled up for the 18th hole.
Yeah, when it becomes a major subdivision, then it seems impractical to have, you know, a dozen homes worth of trash on the corner.
Right. I can leave some of the camp roads, down around lakes, like, correct me if I'm wrong on this, like road between the ponds and stuff, they actually do have, they have to take it out to the corner, because the, trash pickup won't go down the camp roads.
No, it's the
Truck won't
culvert.
fit.
Right, yeah, the roads aren't big enough.
See if I could get that little town road, because it can't be, to take it down so far. But when we had a sand and salt shed, the area that was planning to be a salt shed, once that was in, then the town had to maintain it. The guy had to get in there with the car, so he plows it down and plows it down. That solved that particular lower part, but you still have to go into the camp. There are more people living down there now than there used to be. At that time, I was the only person that lived there.
Yeah, I had asked Norm about it, he said that he needs copies of the road agreement, which makes sense, because in any subdivision plan, he's got the folder, needs all the documents associated with it, whatever. But yeah, it's unclear to me how to enforce, or if it's enforceable, any kind of damage to a private road that's not under an HOA.
I think he's gonna pay it money, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Probably another thing, base drivers and the other.
yeah.
People do strange things with properties.
With that particular road, the amount of aggregate they're going to need in the back part of it will mean that frost heaving probably won't be much of an issue.
Yeah, it's his country over here, it's, we wanna keep it that way. That's the end result, it's sometimes not pretty good.
Yeah.
We also carry the insurance in case something goes off the road. Can't sue the association.
Right, yeah, that's smart. Another question that Harvey just brought up, I was curious about, with the last public meeting we had, Norm was talking about new fields permit limitations. And I didn't see any of that. He had said that he had forwarded something somewhere. Or he was going to, you know. Or maybe he just said it was accessible on the website, I'm not sure. Seemed like good information, particularly because this area is growing and there's no stopping it. I was just looking at, you know, the new state laws of ADUs and this new residential LD situation and the zoning. And seeing, I've been working in Portland recently, so seeing all the ADUs going up at people's houses, well, they're gonna be adding potentially tens of thousands of families over the next 10 years without improving.
Make sure they allow the roof lines.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're allowing multiple units. One lot that was an industrial lot with an industrial unit on the side that had a bigger 100-acre on the other side, but is now going to get a 24-unit subdivision. And so, you know, right now it might take you 25 minutes to get from Cumberland Center to Portland, but in 10 years it'll take you 45 minutes with all the other families. It takes you 50 minutes to get from East Parsonsfield to Portland. So we're turning into really,
But that Amazon, they want to put in,
mhm.
I don't think you make it down there. With clog up things.
Yeah. But because of that, I was just thinking to myself that for us to be able to discuss what that might look like, potentially get a proposal could be a good idea. Because I like growth, but I think limiting growth to a manageable extent is really smart for us.
And we do like a lottery system too.
Yeah.
The first conflict with that type of growth or a bunch of wood situation. That had a lot of blowback on it. There's a lot, we're right on 160 down here, and it's only had one driveway that goes in and drives off to them. But that was not clustered like this one down in center there. And it has some different ideas of how it should function. Like this one here, they're all pretty much separate, and then the rubbish is separate and plowed, and the main one is already plowed. We did leave open space out back, it was 27 acres, of which, you know, that was fine, but I don't know if even touching me when it's about recreation. By the way, did that check ever come in?
No, they're gonna do that after we, Yep.
So,
so everything will be, it'll be part of the conditions.
so this one is a little bit different, yellow, and I'm surprised it's gone through as easily as it has.
Oh,
So
wait,
Parsons Fields never had a growth ordinance?
We've got in our, sorry,
no, you're good, go ahead.
we have it pretty detailed in the plan, the comprehensive plan, but particularly a cluster development, specifically a cluster development, something called that we don't necessarily have, but most of the things the cluster development cover are within the comprehensive plan for growth areas, or in rare cases, degrowth areas, which we have some of those too. And so the thought with the cluster development is really just to try and get one basic sheet that's a synopsis probably of what's already in the comprehensive plan, but something separate that has it's easily accessible, and people can see that all put together in one place instead of having to sift through the whole comprehensive.
Cool.
Well, there's only 3 spots. One is King Fall, and the other one is what East Parsons, and the other one
It's here.
is down near the New Hampshire border.
I thought this one was one too, right by the town hall.
Well, this one here wasn't made, designated as the
Oh, it's a transition to growth.
transition. If there's enough pressure in that, there's another spot too.
That does bring up the question, I won't talk about the active, or the pending review of the subdivision, but there is there is something that is within that Maplewood area is by the comprehensive plan, a degrowth area.
But the house part of it does, but the other one's right on,
So it wouldn't be adding any development, since the development's already there, and the homes aren't considered part of the,
homes are pretty much
Yeah.
moved, unless the road commissioner decides that they have a split driveway, so the access is not
that's fair.
too many cars coming out of the road.
What do you think that would look like if we got a proposal for a major subdivision in a degrowth area? That would need a road and need all kinds of, would that be something that we would, based on the comprehensive plan, just have to deny since it's a degrowth area, or we just review, look at it, see if it follows in principle with the comprehensive plan or not?
We have to follow both.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, and that's, the comp plan and land use differ right now at some points because the comp plan was updated and land use hasn't been.
It's a generalization of function.
So, realistically, like, the ordinance is law, but the comp plan is also rules.
But follow the ordinance guided by the comprehensive.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So what we may
The,
require,
I mean, the will of the people, we have 2 spots in here on the map that are transition away from growth. One, well, 2 growth areas, which Teaser Falls is supposedly a growth area. And then transition to growth, which is, there's 2 areas there, which are, I would say, a lot more land. I mean, we're sitting in one of the transition to growth areas. I think that's hard because there's a lot of big lots here. There's a lot of old houses on this section of North Road. You know, unless you get somebody splitting lots and making subdivisions, I don't see where there's gonna be a lot of growth in this particular section. Yeah, it's,
It's still not clear what Walter wants to do. He wants to make this,
he wants to transition this away from village to just plain residential.
but we're not village yet.
And we are.
We're in transition.
Well, if you look at the current zoning map, we are village. So if he wanted to change us from village to residential, so that there would be less businesses and stuff that could come into this area.
so I don't stand back behind.
In that case, we're not changing the comp plan, we're changing the zoning. Even though, so, and again, that's where it differs a little bit. The comp plan has this side of North Road as a growth area, or transition to growth in the village residential district, and he's proposing changing it to residential district. And does that warrant a change to the comp plan to change it from transition to growth? Page 96.
Coming in hot before, couldn't bring my book.
That's okay. Yeah, that's one of those. So it's the future land use map. It's not a zoning map. It should be used as a decision-making tool if and when zoning boundaries are adjusted in the future. So, because it's a transition away from growth, or a transition to growth, do we, like Dan said, do we move forward with whatever's allowed in land use ordinance because it's proposed future land zoning? That's, it's interpretation, I don't wanna say vague, because it is pretty black and white there.
I think you'd have to come up with somebody who actually wants to bring forth the plan. Then you can bring it up, make it a change, but change it prior to a situation that can be altered at the time of request. I don't see that would require an ordinance change. That's what we're here for. That's what we decide what that change should be or could be.
Right.
And if you were smart, you'd probably want to be a planning board. But that only gives you one vote, though,
Right.
and it doesn't give you a town vote. Half of Parsonsfield is already in growth and, what is it,
It's rural and conserved.
yeah, I mean, there isn't much room for expansion in any one direction.
Right, yeah, that big one that's up there on North Road. What is that, 1,000 acres almost, like 500 in another parcel that is in transition to.
The lead exploitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Parsonsfield has the record land mass, you know, we have the most land in the state. But, and the nice thing is that a lot of it is conserved. To me, that's a nice thing. I'd rather be conserved than be all grown up. I actually just saw, over in Hiram, somebody bought, Mount Cutler Conservation bought more property, which, yeah, another 100 acres going into conserved land.
The Conservancy over there in Livingston, they've been buying up land all over the place.
Yeah.
What's the, trying to be well-rounded and thinking about it is, what's the benefits of growth? I mean, you're gonna have, people have to have houses and places to live, but for big subdivisions, you know, businesses and everything, who's benefiting from that? Pretty much the person that's doing it. The town's not benefiting really from it, it's just gonna cost the town more money and,
It could cost the town money, but I think you can make an argument that when, growth, as long as it's managed growth,
yeah,
comes to an area, then it improves road systems, can improve amenities for that neighborhood. And tax revenue can go towards open space or something that could be beneficial there.
but would 15 houses lower our taxes? You know what I mean? You go put 50 new houses in, it's not gonna lower our taxes, it's gonna make it go up.
But, you know, like I said, you're making a good argument, you can definitely,
Yeah, and to get both sides is really good, so you can really think about it. So when decisions like you guys are talking about have to be made with growth, because that's a big thing, I'm sure if we had 50 days talking about it, but
so would,
Just hope.
like, like what's the
so
best?
with having a subdivision, let's say off of Maple Crest and Henderson, one of the benefits could be that with the higher demand of the area, that road, Fenderson, can be repaired and fixed. If the growth stayed stagnant or degrew, or there was degrowth, then it wouldn't be a priority to fix that road. But it definitely needs it. And so that's one of the areas that it could benefit the locality. And businesses start looking at it as being more attractive, which can increase amenities for the neighborhood. You can get a convenience store potentially, or the post office increases its size, you know, and that increases people's access to really good, valuable things.
But then it goes back to where you hear always, I've been hearing a lot, is everybody's worried about your rural heritage and how we wanna live, it's lived country.
Which is why we want to manage it.
That's
You
right.
know, we want,
Yep.
there's certain
Totally.
areas that I think having growth makes sense, but, well, I'm 100% on the same page. I'm constant conserve land is incredibly important. So
You
that we
can't
don't-
just stop it and make people not be able to do stuff with their land by any means
Yeah.
to help growth, but manage it.
Manage it, yeah, I don't wanna see high rises on Elm Street, you know? But we, right, that's another issue with particular kinds of growth.
Yeah. Sure.
Because it can because too much growth or unmanaged growth can devalue the land.
That's right.
That's not a good idea. Or-
But 20 years down the road, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it.
You're just gonna leave it stuck with us, aren't you?
I bought $10,000 for 21 acres of land. Now, what is it today?
Oh, God.
It's 20 to 30,000.
There's a lot
an
across the
acre.
street
Yeah.
from my house that's not even an acre, it's up for sale for 125.
Oh, boy.
I'm not saying.
It's not sold.
Well, I expect to attract somebody from the state. Even minimum would be what, 20, 25 acres for,
The lot says.
I mean, it
it's
says
been between
close to
20
probably 40, 50 around here now.
And what, yeah, what's the alternative? You buy the land to try to stop the house from going next to you. You know, can you afford to do that? Probably not. So,
But if we had ordinances and zoning and growth, you know, like manageable growth, that would help.
Shoreland does a good job with that too. The Saco River corridor does a good job with that. The new updated what is it, the wetlands, not plan, but on the state website, there's the water, the flood risk zones, the flood zones.
Yep.
And the updated one up there, yeah. And, so Enterprise, right, it's not in Parsonsfield, but Enterprise Road, right, it's getting a lot of houses put on there, there's more land for sale, but you got Lake Arrowhead, little tributary of Lake Arrowhead right there. So, the floodplain, that the map that the state put up really vastly increases the amount of unbuildable site based on just where it floods. So that's kind of another positive geographical restriction of growth, you know, that we need to maintain our wetlands, we need to maintain our waterways. You know, we likely shouldn't put 100 new homes around West Pond or something, right? Because we just can't take it. It's gonna flood all those homes, so. It's about, yeah, it's being able to accept growth, because it's coming, you know, no matter if we like it or not. And in my opinion, just being able to manage it in a way that considers what we want as a town, being rural, being country, but then having spots that are like, okay, these are stable places that can grow, so this is where we should allow the growth to sediment. It's sort of my thought.
Sure.
And for zones. You know, and that might be, dare I say, an easier fix to start is if we increase the setbacks in some areas, you know, some areas that can afford it. To limit some growth.
Another benefit would be the school system, right? We've heard complaints on Fenderston, what about the school bus? Well, I talked to one person, at one point, they had 2 buses that went down Fenderston. And they moved it to 1 bus because they had got down to a certain amount of residences. And now that 1 bus is packed, and that's not good for the kids, it's not fun for the families, right? So bringing in more growth to that area will likely push the school to have another second bus route there, kids. So there is some positives that can happen, as long as we can center that growth based on the comprehensive plan in those areas of growth.
Those are things that you can't, I don't think you can say that every house is going to have, you know, 2 kids in it. Right. No, that's impossible to come up with. But I guess somehow, and I don't know how they would do it when they approach the school department. I know there's been trouble with, they put multiple age kids on the same bus. And that caused every problem with that. And had been.
Especially when
Mothers
there's no
were
counselors.
riding the bus. I don't know how you could foresee that.
Well, there's another point about growth. Parsons Field, we managed our growth properly. We could eventually bring in a school for Parsons Field. In which case, then we don't have to worry about it. It used to be a school. But we went through a degrowth phase for a long time, which decommissioned the school, right? We got back into a growth phase, we got the school.
Then the campus situation. That's the answer. We have all the school department, we have fire department, and have a little police department, and we tried that, and that didn't go too far. And you have to put a situation in the fire department, if you get too big, too deep, all you have to do is have 2 fires and one of them will burn.
Another good point.
Growth costs us a lot of money.
New houses, they have sprinklers.
That's hopefully money well spent, you know, because the argument may not be that government spends money, but it's how they spend it. That I think is a big argument, that we're getting schools and
Yeah,
good roads.
with growth, yeah, we might get schools, but now we're gonna get fire departments, we're gonna pay health insurance and the whole, it cost money, growth costs money.
Taxes go up.
Taxes go up, doesn't go down,
Maybe,
constant battle.
there is a state politician trying to alleviate property taxes. Who knows if that would happen? There was a bill supposed to limit income tax for $75,000.
I would rather that get that.
Yeah.
Well, there is one thing, our town system has managed to do very well in managing money and keeping it, as low as they can do. Giving the outside pressure from the school system, which you can't, once it's voted in, and I came down and voted, and I don't think there was 50 people in the town that voted for the school committee budget. And those things are problematic, because people will just either don't care, don't have the time, whatever. You find time to do it. That's what it's all about.
Civic.
Well,
But
Sebago,
it's still managed, we managed to keep up with it. And I think our taxes raised about a nickel, which isn't, which isn't bad. The only thing is, we've been so far behind in having, keeping up with assessments. That's cost us, well, I don't know if any of you on the homestead, because I cut that right in half.
yeah, we need a revaluation,
Yeah, the revaluation is,
and that's gonna be a couple $100,000.
yeah,
But if we did that, then homestead would go back to 100%, veterans exemption would go back to 100%.
well, there are ways to split it in half. In other words, half of the town gets assessed first 6 months, the other half gets the second 6 months, and it sort of catches up with itself in the long run. But, it's gotta be done somewhere along the way, because we're defaulting on government issues, I guess.
Well,
Government,
revaluations, I think, are supposed to be done every 10 years, and typically they get done every like 15 because towns don't pay for it.
so, what looks simple is not. It's basically what we're talking.
And why is that cost becomes a question?
Because every single property is visited.
Yeah.
So, let's say you pulled a building permit 10 years ago, and you finally built, you never built the deck, when you pulled the permit, finally built the deck, they haven't been out to assess the property, you've added buildings to the property that didn't need a building permit, because, some of the sheds that are movable don't need a building permit. Any little improvement, you change the siding, change the windows, anything that would make your house more valuable, they're gonna go out to visit every single property during reval. So you're generating time and effort for an assessing company to visit every single property in Parsonsfield and make sure that everything is correct.
Does it have to be an assessing company? If they're charging $10,000 a property.
So,
Steep.
so we went through a reval in Sebago when I was still there working for them, and I think it was like somewhere between 150, 200,000 for the reval. And again, it had been done like 12 to 14 years. Where we don't have an assessing company, where we have a private assessor, I don't know if he can do it or if it would have to be subcontracted out. It's definitely, it's worth it because you got both sides. You could be being charged 200,000 for your property, it's really only worth 150. And then you got the lake properties that are only being charged 200,000 that are really like $300,000-$400,000. So it's both sides, detrimental to both sides, I might end up paying more at the end of the day, you might end up paying less.
That doesn't usually happen.
Well, there were a couple lake properties that it didn't double, but it was definitely.
No, but going down.
Yeah, going down. There were a couple that definitely went down a little bit, but,
The house that burned down.
yeah, the house burned down, you build a smaller footprint.
But it seems ridiculous that if it's a requirement to use a company to assess it, right? And it costs that much, towns like ours can't really afford that. It doesn't seem like a realistic, I wonder if there's grants or other means to assess the property.
So what
Grants?
Sebago did was they had a, CIP, capital investment program. So every year, X amount of dollars went into that account to pay for certain things. So like we had accounts for, because we had our own fire department, we had accounts for the fire department for specific vehicles. Because of course, fire department, trucks need to be replaced X amount of years, right? Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. So we had lines for fire department vehicles, for the reval, EMS, a couple other things. I think there were like 20 different capital investment accounts that every year we put in a percentage so that when it came due and when you were getting ready to buy the new fire truck, the amount was already in that account. So instead of having to take out a loan or find a grant or anything, the money was already in that account, ready to go. Parsons Field, I don't think has that set up. So it would come down to, you know, can we afford to up taxes enough to pay for it over X number of years? Is it something that we can find a grant for, something that you can loan up for?
We're about 5 years behind with the elimination. That hurts. Hurts me when I lose half of my veterans exemption and half of my homestead. That's where my increase came.
Right.
Not that probably, once they assess my property, probably balance out or even pay them more, but at least I get my,
It would make you feel better.
And so why is it that you're only getting half of those?
well, because the state penalizes you for not doing it.
Is that why? Oh,
So,
that doesn't seem fair either.
well, no, it doesn't.
Nothing's fair, nothing is fair.
It's up to the, town to take care of it. And it just, there's never been enough money, and we just keep pushing it down the road. So eventually that's gonna catch up with us. Well, it is catching up with us. We put in more money in the budget every year to take care of the big values.
We think it would almost pay for itself.
Yeah, it is difficult to figure out how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
I think revaluation is very scary to most people, and it is. They used to do personal property taxes,
Mm.
things like that, and I'd fill out a sheet every year, and finally, nobody ever turned it in, so it's just, so got rid of it. Because there's nobody to enforce it.
I know I had a camper in a seasonal site in Sanford, and I had to pay personal property tax on my camper.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
It's same thing.
And a lodging tax. To stay in my own camper.
Well, I think we've covered
a lot.
a good number of topics here,
A lot of reading this week.
right?
Well, I'm really interested in the fifth, I was going to think of the mile.
It's the revenge of-
Tequila.
it's the revenge of the sick.
Yeah, if you can make that one.
Yeah, that's our workshop, is this thing.
So we'll have a meeting between now and then. Yeah, I'll send out a reminder. It's the 22nd of 15th. And you guys all got the staff meeting for the 16th, so we're good.
That won't be.
Is that in Florida?
Carolina.
Carolina?
Going coast, then in,
You're going to post it?
Sea level.
If we don't have anything, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second,
No, you gotta make the
I'll
motion.
motion
I'll
to,
make the motion.
Okay.
second.
I'll make the motion
I'll
to.
make the motion.
All in favor? Perfect, all right, we can check that off. Oh, and reminder sidewalk or on-site inspection on the 11th,
Saturday.
Saturday the 11th.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming, Jeff.
Yeah, let me yap a little bit.